So I just had a DMT trip. My first DMT trip in a while, actually. And it surprised me a little bit. It was different than I thought it was gonna go. I didn't intend on breaking through, nor did I. Uh, I just got this urge to go back in and revisit the spirit molecule. So I put a little bit in my pipe. Quote, a little bit. It was just a mini trip's worth. And I went out into my woods. And my heart was fucking pounding. I was in this trance. That's usually how it is when I go about tripping, especially with DMT, is out of nowhere this thing just comes over me and is trip, you need to trip, you want to trip right now, do it, don't be scared. And Terence Mckenna was repeating in my head, nature rewards courage, nature loves courage, and nature rewards courage by removing obstacles, impossible obstacles. So to get to the trip I had, I sat down on this rock cliff area. It wasn't like a cliff, but it was just this little rock face. And I was wondering if I wanted to listen to music while I did it or do it in silence. And I decided to put on a certain song that I really like and I've wanted to trip to for a while. And decided to just go with that. So right when the song started playing, I took it as an initiative to go, and I had kind of calmed down, surprisingly. Usually it builds up until I start hitting it, but I did this prayer or chant thing to the DMT before I went in. I just, something's calling me to you, I want to see what's going on. So the song began and I start hitting the pipe, and it's kind of windy, and the lighter is getting blown tiny, so I'm angling it into the pipe to get a good hit, and I see it kind of milk up a little bit, but it doesn't feel harsh or anything, so I drag until I can't, I need to get air, and I hold it for a long time and blow out, and nothing came out. So I take another hit, and I start thinking to myself I didn't put enough in. That even though I have no tolerance to psychedelics right now whatsoever, that just wasn't enough for me to feel it and be in a trip, It's just kind of a sub-perceptual thing. Nope. I was taking the second hit and I started to kind of feel I can't describe it. It's so fucking weird. Terrence nails it when he says you talk about it in these intervals between doing it, and then the second you do it, it's you remember that everything you've said about it isn't what it's like. And I started feeling it in my body a little bit, and I'm still thinking to myself that there's not a lot in here, and I need to chase it. I need to get as much, I'm taking rapid hits, holding the lighter right to it, trying to get it as hot as I can, and I do see multiple hits coming in, and I slowly start to feel it. But I got to a point where I kind of accepted that I didn't put enough in the pipe, and what I'm feeling right now is the extent of my trip, So I put the pipe down, and I just continue letting what's happening happen. And I start to see, my vision starts to rather than focusing on something, I started like staring past it all, and it all started to like it wasn't moving, but it was popping in this very strange geometric way, you know, like the branches crossing over each other. Everything was popping out, and I remember the song went to a song I didn't want to listen to, so I went in to try to pause it or change the song, and all the rows of the song names were like shuddering down like that, like over and over again. I've never had a visual like that. It was weird. It looked very digital, you know. But like I said, this trip was weird because at first I thought nothing was really happening. But then all of a sudden I'm like fully invested in this feeling, and everything around me is like, I don't know, like I felt panic. I felt fear for a moment. Like, I don't know what it was tied to. I don't know. I think it was just, I don't know. I felt this feeling of fear or scaredness in me, and it made me realize that I am going into this trip right now, and it is still building. That wasn't the extent of it 5 seconds ago. It's still building, and I believe that's what that feeling of anxiety or fear was at first. That initial feeling of fear was that it's not over yet. It's still coming on, and it was, and I shut my eyes and started just focusing on my breath and breathing through this feeling, this uprising feeling of fear, and it really quickly dissipated when I just started being with the trip. I was seeing this, like the sun was coming through the trees, and my eyes were shut, and I was seeing these like diamond, like orange diamond shaped thing, like honeycombs, but like made of diamond shapes, like rhombus shit, and they were orange, and they were like floating around very vaguely, and I stared at that for a while, and when I opened my eyes, everything was still just so fucking vivid and popping at me, and I really can't recall much more of this. I sat there for like 30 minutes. Honestly, I'm still kind of feeling it right now. That's how little of a tolerance I have. I sat there for like 30 minutes riding out this whole trip and feeling it, and like I said, it wasn't a substantial dose, nowhere near a breakthrough, but it was cool in that it took a minute to come on, and it kind of like there was just this window where I really was fucking like a window that I can't recall, you know, and honestly it does feel like a fucking dream that happened, and like I know it's like that for a lot of people, where the second it's done you can't even really remember it, and that's how it is for me right now. I wasn't even gonna record this because of the lack of content that happened, but just the sequence of how the trip happened was cool. It was cool. So that's basically it for this video. I don't even really know what I said. I've already kind of fucking forgot a lot of this and just what it was like. So I hope you got something from it, and I will be back with more.